welcome to the Sinner and the Saint. I'm Melissa Bell.
And I'm Allison Kane.
You know what's funny is we haven't really tested this, so it'll be interesting to see if this works.
No, I think it totally will. I did earlier.
Sweet. See, that's why she loves me.
Only I had time to do it since you were a little late this morning.
Y'all, for real. This poor girl, my life is a little chaotic.
40 minutes late.
Yeah. Well, I told you I was going to be 40 minutes late, but then I was an extra 10 minutes late.
But, you know, it worked out because, weren't you going to be here at 9?
Well, then I said 9:30. You know I don't do that morning traffic.
Oh, I didn't even get that part. So I was ready at 9. Or
it
I
makes me bitter,
in.
Girl. Be driving over here
Don't
all
be driving,
angry.
getting all bitter and angry. Hostile.
Yeah. Don't test my sanctification on the way to Allison's house. It makes our recordings a little crazy.
I got so many things done. I even tried to, I learned how to tackle my little aphid white fly problem with my basil. So,
oh my gosh. See, that was the space you needed in life.
yeah, sometimes we need space.
And y'all, I know we can't really say anything just yet, but Allison is doing a super exciting project, and we worked a little on that this morning.
We did. I am excited to share that when we get a little bit closer.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably
Anyway.
in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a random kind of thing, but I had the opportunity to eat lunch out the other day, and I was by myself. Now, some people hate to do things by themselves, like go to movies or eat lunch. I love to be by myself.
I'm like, those people are not homeschooling moms.
I mean, you know, I just feel like I'm always with people. So I savor it. I don't want to eat alone every meal. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it does not bother me at all. So I'd gone to this cute little cafe, and I'd taken my book. I was going to read a little. I just wanted to read and eat a salad outside on a beautiful day. Mm-hmm. I was pumped.
Girl, let's do that later.
Okay.
All right.
And then I'm sitting there trying to read and eat my salad. And it was like all these other tables around me, the volume on their conversations was so loud. Now, I'm not saying they were being loud, but it was like God had turned up the volume on these for some reason.
Kind of like that movie with Jim Carrey.
Which one?
Oh, I think it's called Yes Man, or it's the one where he's hearing all of the prayer requests. And
my gosh.
He's just
yes.
sitting there and all these voices are coming and everything is so loud. He can hear everything around him, like amplified times 1,000.
That is how I felt. It was the weirdest thing because it's not like, I mean, I was at a table all by myself and it was like a patio, but normally this doesn't. I mean, I'm trying to focus on my book. And it was like somebody kept turning up the volume.
Did you respond like Jim Carrey did?
Well, I really did want to bust in on one conversation. But I didn't. I refrained. And I was really trying not to hear the things because I just wanted to read my book. But so let me give you. It's 3 tables. Okay.
So you were near 3 tables and you heard 3 tables?
I heard 3 tables. I was around more, but there were these 3 tables, and I heard like bits and pieces of things that were just so loud. They just, like, even when I was reading, they overwhelmed.
Oh.
Even when I was trying to not listen to anything.
Right.
So the first one was these 2 ladies.
Okay.
Table 1.
Table 1. We'll call them table
number
1.
1. These 2 ladies. One who was probably feeling like I was. She never got to say a word. She said like a couple of things because the other lady was so angry and so just flustered and bitter, and she was saying stuff. She was basically mad because somebody, probably her daughter-in-law or something. I mean, I don't know all the details, obviously. But somebody had gotten a cat, and now, I mean, she couldn't go stay at her house because she's allergic to cats, and there were all these other things, but like she just was so mad. She was like, yeah, I bought her a birthday card. And it was like, I love you as much as the moon and stars. She was like, I'm going to return that card because she does not deserve it. Maybe she will next year.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was thinking, I literally wanted to say, excuse me, I think she bought the cat because of you.
Because she knew you were allergic to it. And by the way, if you're allergic to shellfish and she's having lobster dinner, definitely take that personally, okay?
I mean, she was just so negative. And there was no, like, I'm really having a difficult time with it. She just was angry, and she was just gossiping, and she was bitter, and it was just spewing out.
So she was there just to speak her piece and hear nothing and glean nothing. She just wanted to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, and she didn't even care what was going on with her other friend.
And
She
sadly,
hardly got to say a word.
she told everybody about it, even you.
Yeah, even me.
What was
Yeah.
the friend doing?
I mean, I literally was trying to read my book, so I wasn't really looking at them because I kept trying to be like, would you please, God, just turn down the volume. I don't want to hear this. I just want to read my book. And ironically, the book is called Hearing God.
Oh, God, I love you. You're so funny.
I know,
This
he's
is awesome.
hysterical. So she was just sitting there, but I could tell that she was relieved when they, but the whole time.
When lunch was over, she
Yeah,
was
when lunch
relieved.
was over. Yeah.
Oh.
But table number 2, moving on, table number 2, super quiet. Like, they weren't as loud. They were a little farther away, and it was a woman and a man. But I literally only heard one thing. And again, I'm looking down. I am not trying to listen. And she said, most weeks I feel like my life is worth living, but this past week has been hard.
Oh.
And I just, I wanted to go over and give her a hug. And then to say, you're so loved, hang in there. But also say, I'm so proud of you for saying that out loud to someone who you obviously trust.
Yeah.
And being vulnerable and transparent.
I know. And then you feel like awkward because it's like, oh gosh, I almost know this little piece of information. And I know a few things to say that might help, but you can't go do it because then you're the weird lady.
Yeah. I'm always the weird lady.
Well, were you the weird lady or did you just pray to God? Because I would just pray.
I was just praying. I was praying for all these people. And I was talking to God a lot because I'm like, I don't understand what you want me to do with this. This is so weird. I've never had this happen where I'm hearing all these random conversations. Then there's table number 3.
Okay.
Which is way back in the back corner. And it's, my back is to them. And I think there were several. I never looked at the table, but I think there were several ladies there. But the only thing I heard out of that one was this woman. And she was like, oh my gosh, it just makes me so happy to see how much those two enjoy one another and have fun together. It just brings me so much joy.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
All the time.
I wish we could be that all the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time's awesome, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you go back to toxic positivity, you can't be that all the time or else you're lying to somebody, probably yourself.
Yeah, everyone, even yourself. Well, so these were so different. And I think it's important to say I think we are all these tables.
Sometimes all of them in one day.
Exactly. Maybe an hour, depending on what's going on. But I think what I wanted to maybe talk about and dissect is table 1. Well, let's start there.
Bitter lady.
Bitter, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bitter Betty.
Bitter Betty. We all need the time and space to sit with someone and just someone that we're close to and just spew it out and get it out. And that may be the only time she had said any of those things about that person.
Right.
I don't know. Probably not.
We were gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but Allison said no.
I'm pretty sure she had lunch with another friend the next day and did the exact same thing. She obviously is very angry, very upset, she's very resentful. She's totally being selfish. And I don't, again, know all the stories, but you could tell from her heart that it was not in a good space.
Right. And then you have to wonder, what is she missing in life? Mm-hmm. What is happening in her life? Where is the disconnect that makes her feel so offended by somebody buying a cat?
Right. And then talking so poorly. I'm sure there's other stuff. That was probably the icing. Again, y'all, these are totally random pieces of conversations. But it really speaks to all of our hearts.
Right.
And I think, we all get in that place where we are bitter and upset about something. But the questions are like, are you taking it to God? When you're talking it out with your friends, do you just need to get it off your chest and then have them pray with you and help you, hold you accountable to work through it? Or are you just bitter and you're just going to keep bringing it up in every conversation, in every situation in your life? And then what happens? No one wants to be around you.
Right. It just reminds me of like, okay, way back when I was young, we had those little cassette tapes, right?
Yes.
And like, if you were in a heartbreak, what did you do? You want to play that sad song over and over again so you could keep crying.
A lot of Barry Manilow.
And so at some point, you got to crank up the party music and have a good time again.
Right. And think about why we're talking about those things. Like, she didn't want advice. She just wanted to gossip.
Yeah.
Again, she wasn't asking for suggestions or prayer. And I think that is critical when we're dealing with things.
So here's my question for you. If I'm sitting, okay, I'm with you and I'm the one complaining and I'm mad about the cat. I'm going to take back that daggone card. But y'all know I'm not going to do that because I'm not getting back out there with you people in the stores. But anyways, I will save that for somebody else or might cross out a couple words I don't believe in. But how do you diffuse that if you're the person that is just like, I'm going to go have a delicious lunch. Oh gosh.
I mean, I think redirecting, and I'm sure the friend was just like, holy cow. And I don't know if I don't know anything about them.
Right.
But when we're sitting with someone like that, I think just redirecting and saying, how could we pray for that person? Or how can I pray for you? Because this is a big deal. Like, acknowledging their feelings.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like, you're so angry. I don't blame you. I mean, maybe you just say, like, I hear you, acknowledge it and say, all right, well, do you think it'll help not giving her the card though?
Right.
I mean, none of us deserve a birthday card every year, but thankfully people give them to us.
Right.
I mean, if we all do crappy things sometimes.
Well, I mean, like, let's just be really obnoxious and godly about it and be like, oh, we don't deserve anything. So, ma'am, send that card and sign your name and put $20 in it now because you were just complaining about it. No. That girl needs a drink because she has to put up with you.
Exactly. I mean, I think, again, it goes back to so focused on the speck in somebody else's eye that you cannot even see the plank in your own.
And I think,
like, girl, you got a pitchfork in your eye and you are worried about the cat hair in the other lady's eye. But that's hard. We struggle with that because we're people.
But I think it's okay to say, so here, if you want to vent health, like if you really are that angry about something,
you have to
I'd be like, hey girl, give me 5 minutes and then let's bring it back. Like, let's talk about this for 5 minutes. Let me just throw up on you.
Yeah.
And then you have the authority to shut me down and tell me some hard truth. And if your person across the table that you're venting to doesn't have that authority, shut your mouth. They don't need to hear all that.
Facts.
Like, why are you going to tell me all this stuff? Because then it is gossip.
That's right. And that's one of the things, and we've said it before, and I always say to my kids, like, and to myself a lot, why are you talking about this? Are you talking about it just to talk about it and complain? That's gossip. Or are you talking about it because you really need to get it off your chest and then you need to solve a problem? Mm-hmm. You need help, you need prayer, you need direction, and you need encouragement and support. And there's a distinct difference.
Right. And
but if you don't have Jesus, you ain't getting it.
And in the Bible, it doesn't say anything about biting cats, but it does say something about gossiping.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So we'll move on to table 2.
Table 2. Okay, we've solved table 1.
Well, allegedly.
It's
a great illustration. I mean, I just
this
love
is way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Holy cow. I mean, sometimes God gives us the coolest ideas and illustrations in the craziest ways. I will say this is one of the craziest things he's ever done, or illustrations that I've lived through, or most unique. So table 2, the woman who is basically admitting that most of the time her life is worth living, but this past week has been hard.
Oh, we've all been there.
I mean, wow. That is so huge. And first of all, again, we don't know anything else about her, but we do know, I pray that she knows Jesus. I'm so proud of her that she said it out loud and acknowledged it. And I'm so thankful that she had someone she could trust to say that to.
Yeah. Yes.
You know?
My mind goes into a million different places with this one because I hope that the person that she was confiding in, because she was a female and it was a male,
right?
Like, I'm going to go that route, which is not a friendly route, right? I hope that that was her boyfriend or husband or brother, because that could be a slippery slope for somebody.
Absolutely. Good point.
And so I'm just going to bring that out there and say, if you're a female or a male and you're confiding in the opposite sex, make sure it's a sister, mom, wife,
yeah,
girlfriend.
It's got to be a relative or a wife. Yeah, always better. You know, in this, I went through Stephen Minister training in the in the Methodist Church years ago, and one of the absolute rules was they never, if you were a woman, they never set you up with a man as one of your, people that you worked
even
with.
If it is like a conversation you're having about your husband to your husband's best friend, slippery slope, friends. Don't do it.
Yeah, big slippery slope.
Yes, but onto...
Unless you're talking about a surprise birthday party.
Then there's that, yeah.
That's fine.
But let's go back to quite possibly it was her husband, and that is a lot to be able to admit that to your husband. That is a special kind of relationship, and hopefully he listened and responded well. Obviously, there was no blow up over there, so I'm sure it went well, but to be able to voice those. I think about my mom a lot, and I think about, she obviously didn't know how to reach out for help, and so she just tried to find, I've been thinking about her a lot recently for some reason. She tried to fill that void with something else, and I just wish that she had good people that would listen to her, love her, and make her feel loved enough that they would have guided her in the right direction.
Yes.
Yeah,
it would be so interesting to be able to follow up on all these, but obviously, we're not going to be able to do that.
I mean, if I was sitting at lunch with you, I probably got their names and number and be like, we're going to follow up with you guys in a little bit, okay?
Check in on all this. But I think, definitely when we've talked about this, finding your people, you need those people that you can say that to. Maybe it was a counselor, maybe even someone, her AA, what do you call those people?
Like, I think it's a mentor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be incredible as well. But using all the resources at hand to be able to have those hard conversations, just being able to have those people is so important.
And I think if we go back to toxic positivity, which was a recent episode, you discussed, I think it was toxic positivity, you discussed ways to be with somebody when they're like, how do you respond to someone who's having a hard time? How are you a good friend in those times?
Right.
And so you did have some great pointers. Go back and listen to that episode.
Right. Instead of just trying to fluff it over because it makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
Like, I hope his response was one of listening and kindness.
Right.
And then we got to finish up with table number 3. Love her. Oh my gosh, this is who I want to be every day. She's just like, just this big compliment. Oh, I just love them. And it just brings me so much joy to see them together and see how happy they are, blah, blah, blah. And I think, one, were they all talking about that? Or was someone being negative? And then she brings in something positive to redirect. It could have been either way.
Yes, for sure.
Like, let me switch this up. Let me change the tone of this conversation.
I love that. And we do have the power to change the tone, but are we aware enough to do that?
Right.
Or bold enough.
Woo! I'm telling you, if you are rooted and grounded in some Bible words from that morning, you have a lot more courage and a lot more strength and a lot more wisdom to take it throughout your day and into the interactions that you have with people that you know and strangers.
And your conversations, like, you were affected by her positivity and you were like not even you don't even know her name, right?
Right. It did. Like, I smiled. It made me so happy to hear that.
I bet, especially after hearing all the other stuff.
Especially after table 1 and table 2. I think God knew he needed to put a pretty bow on it.
Right. He's like, oh, we're losing her. We're losing her.
Yeah.
So my son and I started a new thing where we go on gratitude walks.
Oh.
And so I say, well, let's just go and have a gratitude walk. And what that looks like is we just go wandering. We'll go wandering through the neighborhood or through the yard. And we don't have to say anything. Just being out there and not being in your normal element brings a little bit more happiness and joy, right? But sometimes we talk about what are the good things. I think probably all of us have done this at some point, peek and pit. When you feel like the conversation is really negative, either at your dinner table or even in your own head, I would always say to the kids, okay, give me your peak and pit of the day, or give me your pit first, and then let's talk about the peak of the day. And so recently, my youngest was having a hard day, and he said, this is just the worst day ever. And I said, okay. And I taught him about peak and pit. And he was like, I could do this every day because, my day wasn't that bad.
Oh, I love that. What an incredible practice and discipline to instill in your kids at an early age.
The peak and the pit, man.
We call it the high and the low.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has a cute name for it. But I love the peak and the pit.
Right.
Because let me tell you something. The low sometimes, pit is the only word for it.
Yes.
It's more than a low. It's just the pit.
It's just the pit. And we don't all want to stay there. We all want to be like table number 3.
Yeah.
Realizing that we will have to be at table number 1 and table number 2 sometimes. Right?
Absolutely. It was really convicting and such a great reminder for me, just in my own life, of, my heart and going into certain situations, not only where I'm coming from, but how I respond.
Yeah.
I only got to see the response at one of those, and she was just so overwhelmed. She didn't really have any response. And so being prepared, and the way we are prepared is really to be grounded and rooted in the Word of God.
Yeah, and hold me accountable. If I'm table 1 a lot, I'd be like, bitta, patio 1,
Right.
Yes.
And if your friend doesn't want you to hold them accountable, going back to our finding your tribe, maybe you don't need them in your life.
Not on a regular basis.
Right.
That's a healthy boundary that needs to be set and held.
That's right.
Because the way you leave somebody, you realize. I had a friend pop over to jiu-jitsu. You guys, if you ever want to talk to me, I sit at jiu-jitsu for hours, 8 hours a week, as a matter of fact.
Free counseling at jiu-jitsu.
And, right, there's a little bistro table outside, and the girl said, oh, I'm so glad someone uses this table. And, after our conversation, I was just like, I'm so proud of you. You're doing hard stuff, girl. You're standing strong. And I love that I've seen that transformation in her.
Yes.
And so just also when you see people doing it, right, living the hard stuff, standing tall, speak some joy and speak some truth, and just say, I see the difference in you.
We could all use some encouragement. Amen?
Yeah, girl.
Oh, so as you go throughout your week, this week, just think about, where are you dining?
Ooh.
Table 1, table 2, or table 3?
Yeah, and before you accept an invitation, maybe figure out which table they're sitting at.
Always with a good side note.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us this week on The Sinner and the Saint.